the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of our resistance, and those who died for liberty.
Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell, of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. A Poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Street where the lion drums do beat, and the lovely English people walked all over us. And every single night when they tell, come home tight, he'd invite the neighbors out with his chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra. Tell us how you slew them old Arabs 2 by 2, like the Zulus they had knives, bows and arrows. Of how bravely you faced one with your 16-pounder gun, and you frightened all the natives to the marrow. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra. Let us hear you tell how you stand the brave Parnell and taught them well and truly persecuted. Where are the stares and jeers that you proudly let us hear when our heroes of 16 were executed? Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra. Show your wife how you won medals up in Derry. You murdered 16 men and you'll do the same again. So get out of here and take your bloody army. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lace of Killishandra. Oh, come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders.
Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Do that again. I didn't understand it that time. Take it easy. Yes, Mr. Hitler. Hitler started out in 1932. Hitler started out in 1932. When he started out, he took the home from the Jew. We're gonna tear Hitler down. We're gonna tear Hitler down. We're gonna tear Hitler down someday. We're gonna bring him to the ground. We're gonna bring him to the ground. We're gonna bring him to the ground someday. When Hitler started out, he took the Jews from their home. Hitler started out, took the Jews from their home. That's one thing, Miss Hitler, you know you done wrong. We're gonna tear Hitler down. We're gonna tear Hitler down. We're gonna.
Hello there, everybody. How the devil are we all? I am technically alive, but at what cost? I ask you, chat. At what cost? Unlike some people who are not alive, Dick Cheney, noticeably, who's gone to meet Maggie Thatcher in hell. So that's nice. I was going to do crab dance, but then I thought I'm quite drunk. I might actually end up drowning in the crab costume. So I didn't do that. But yeah. Hello. Can we get a soundboard round of applause instead? That will absolutely suffice. Chat, you know I like my dick stiff, and this one is a stiff, because he's dead. Do they waterboard in hell? Or is it just like fire and brimstone type malarkey? You know, be good to sort of get some clue on that. It'd be bad for Dick Cheney if he gets to hell and they're like, of course we wouldn't fucking torture somebody, you mad? What, you do fucking waterboarding? You're a monster. You deserve to be here. Seventh circle for you, motherfucker. Anyway, yes. Hello, everybody. How are we all? Yeah, fucking Mamdani winning in New York. It's going to happen, obviously. Fucking Dick Cheney croaking it. Always good. And the Blues winning 4-0 on back-to-back games. You know, like, it just makes you think, like, come on now. But it's a beautiful fucking thing, man. You don't need money, don't need fame, don't need no credit card to ride this train. It can be cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life. That's the power of love. Etc. Good days, good day. Hey, Bunny in the box. Hello, mate. How you getting on? Unbelievable stuff. A point off the playoffs. Fucking mental. Anyway, we'll just accept that the Blues won 4-0 and just don't analyse it, I reckon. Just don't analyse it. Anyway, big news of the day. Actually, no, I could have fucking try and earn any amount of money if I can. Anyway, if you wanted to, you can support my absolute fucking degeneracy in the following ways. If you're on Twitch, you can do. But this is bad enough when I'm fucking sober. Jesus Christ! You can hit the follow button. You can subscribe. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can give subs to the community. You can do bits messages, 200 bits or more gets you a text to speech. It's almost muscle memory now. This almost. The The Dodgers win the World Series. Yeah, but that's not a good thing. They spent like $1 point something billion on fucking extra pitching on top of a team that already won. Like, what the fuck is this? Nonsense. Anyway, let's not get into it. Baseball is too complicated a topic for now. Right. Yeah, you can do bits messages. 200 bits or more gets you a text to speech. You can do super chats for the Streamlabs link below.
Get some help.
Yeah, that thing. I forgot. I've already forgotten. Any amount of distraction tonight will actually cause me to die, I think. Anyway, you can do super chats for the Streamlabs link below. You can help me out on Patreon and PayPal. I've got YouTube, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Discord, all that bollocks. If you're on YouTube, hell the fuck oh to the YouTubers. What's up? Yeah. What was this? Yeah, on YouTube, you can subscribe, you can thumb the video up, you can hit the bell icon, you can do, you can become a member for 99p. You can gift memberships to the community on that same basis. You can shut the fuck up, Bonky Boy, otherwise you will feel the wrath of my penis. Actually, that sounds terribly bad. That's not nice. I'll take that back. There's only one stiff dick tonight, and it's Dick Cheney's corpse. Yes. Fuck. Yeah, memberships. You can do memberships on the gift memberships and that bollocks. You can do super chats, which they'll get read out now. I don't even need to read them. The Canadian team put up a good fight. What's the what? What Canadian team? What? I've lost the will to live. In all honesty, I don't fucking know what's happening. Anyway, yes. So the big news of the day, right, is actually it's not really that big, but like fuck it. Dick Cheney dead. Hilarious, right? Crab dance, etc. If we go onto a hype train tonight, I think I know where it's going. Yes. So that's nice. The only sad thing about Dick Cheney's death is that it didn't happen in a cell at The Hague. That would have been, I think, much preferable. However, a stiff dick of poop. Hang on. What happened? Noises happened. Thank you, Bunny in the box with whatever the fuck that is. Okay, thank you. It's a T or something. Is it a pear? Is it a bird? No, it's fucking Superman. I don't know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting a membership as well. Much love to you. Yes. Oh shit, we are on a hype train. Fuck. Thank you, Fuzz.
Like a baby otter.
Thank you, Fuzzmoz, for gifting a membership on the YouTube. We're on a hype train, everyone. If we get to the next level of the hype train, I will finger the ever-loving fuck out of Dick Cheney's disgusting war criminal anus. I mean, to be fair, his anus was the least war criminal element of him, really. But it was still a part of him, and therefore the kind of Hitler particles were there, I think. You know? Anyway, bits and subs and all that bollocks. Anyway, the only appropriate response to this, frankly, has to go to future Islamo-communist mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, when he responded to it.
When did that happen? Just earlier this
Stop it. Get some help.
Oh, hang on. Thank you genuinely for whatever noise that was, but you do need to be out the fucking way so that people can see. Right. It's a 10-second clip. Can you stop being generous for 10 seconds, you cunts? You literally couldn't. You literally couldn't. You literally couldn't do it. You're too generous. You absolute set of lovely pricks.
Oiled like a baby otter.
You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm fucking... And I'm going to go mad here. Well, come on. We have to wait for Max's fucking comment now.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
How drunk are you 1 to 10?
69. No, I'm not that drunk actually. I sort of know my limits now. Where, like, I don't think I'd ever do a really sloppy drunk stream. Like, I've been pretty bad at times, but like, I get to a certain level, I'm like, I can't. No, I'm just gonna go home and go to bed. You know, like it just, yeah. Anyway, right, can we get through a 10-second clip without you fucking lovely evil bastards interrupting? Right, Zara Mamdani responded to Dick Cheney's death.
When did that happen? Just earlier this morning.
Just, okay, whatever. And just, look, because he can't do the whole, like, yes, get in, you fucker, boom, kiss it. Like, he can't do that, right? Like, he can't do that. I can do that because I'm just some wanker on Twitch, right? Who gives a fuck? Like, he has to be, like, a responsible adult and shit. Whereas, that's not the best you can get. It's just like, oh, okay. And then just carries on with his fucking business, man. Absolute dubs. Fucking dubs in chat.
Epic dub.
Fucking beautiful stuff. That's lovely. Oh, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Max, for interrupting, you selfish bastard. Thank you, MBTQ2K, for resubscribing with Prime. Much love to you. We're 53 seconds, chat. If you want me to finger at Dick Cheney, we need to get to the next level, mate. It's as simple as that. I don't make the rules, except I obviously make the rules. But that's not the point.
That's a stiff dick of poop.
There we go. Thank you, Fussbus, for giving in to my relentless charm. I don't know the fuck I'm talking about. Anyway, thank you, Fuzzmoz87,
Stop
the
it.
gifted sub.
Get
And thank
some
you, main captain, for 56 months, you absolute lunatic. You lunatic. Seek assistance. You know who doesn't need assistance? This Crystal Palace fan. Right. Crystal Palace fan was getting booed, right? He was doing a thing at half time, right, where he gets to take a penalty on the pitch against the mascot, right? And it was like a local derby of sorts, but they hate each other anyway. Crystal Palace versus Brighton, and the Brighton fans were booing him like fuck, right? And he got his own back delightfully. Scores and then runs over to him. Look at that, the double bird. He starts giving them the fucking business to the entire fucking Brighton end. Go on, lad. Go on. Fuck yes. Look at that. Having the fucking time of his life. Good lad. Oh, love it. Fucking love it. Lovely stuff. He'll go places, that lad. Not necessarily good places, but fucking places. Like Crystal Palace, I suppose. Anyway. Absolutely lovely work. Anyway, what was I going to do?
Stiff dick of poop.
Oh, wait, what now? What? Would Dick Cheney's grave technically be a glory hole? Jesus fucking Christ. Yes, why not? Fuck it. Thank you, Fuzzmos, for gifting a sub to 255AD, who is a person I am aware of from this channel and that. God bless him, Clem H. Fandango. Yes, what was I going to do? There was a thing I was going to do about the flag, right? Not the flag. This fucking thing. The white. Did you see the Whitechapel Station bit? But I think I'm a bit too drunk. I think I need to be sober for this one, because it's like a serious rant about stuff. And I don't feel I'm in the correct headspace for that, if I'm entirely honest with you. What is this? Is kings and generals correct about racism in ancient Rome? Okay, we can watch this. Fuck it. This is not a spot the difference photo. No, this is a... So, I'll basically explain it, but I won't do my full rant. Anyway, this right-wing dickhead says, oh, it says Whitechapel Station, apparently. Because apparently the fact that it's in Hindi is a big problem. And, look, my whole thing is... Why do you give a fuck about the sign above the station and not the homeless man in the doorway? Why does the sign offend you? Why are you upset about that? And yet, in the 6th richest city on the planet, you have a person begging for money. So destitute that they're sat on the floor in the way of a fucking... Like, what the fuck? And it's a load of bollocks anyway, because that's the other fucking doorway. They have Whitechapel Station. So, like, it's not like it's just in Hindi. It's mad. Anyway, we'll get into it. It's a lot of bollocks, but we'll do it another time. At the New York election, heard something vaguely. Is there? I don't know. But we're going to be watching something completely unrelated to that, apparently. We're going to watch this fucking knob again. God, I hate this guy. Actually, hate isn't really the right word. I don't think he's worthy of hate. I don't think he's interesting enough, in all honesty. But, you know. Yeah. So, this goal was special. Let's have a look when we go. What's this? Mickey van der Ven. So this is Tottenham Hotspurs. Let's have a look. Oh, that's shoddy defending that. No, that's shithouse defending. No, I'm not having this. I'm going to have to show it now, right? You can claim all you like that this is a great goal, but this is fucking awful defending. Look at this. Look where he picks that ball up on the edge of his own area. And no one puts a fucking tackle in him. All the way through. That's shithouse defending. Nah, fuck it. It's a good finish, to be fair to the lad. And he's going to be knackered. But if you run the whole length of the fucking field and no one like bumps you off the ball, no one tackles you, nothing... Rubbish. No, I'm sorry, I don't have it. You're playing against a fucking Sunday League team. Get rid. I said my piece. I said my fucking piece. There was some unfortunate chants in the Pompey end of the weekend. What were they chanting? Or was it too unfortunate and you can't tell me? I don't know. A bit crap. A bit crap. Anyway, this dickhead, right.
Hello number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today we are checking out the channel Kings and Generals.
I like Kings and Generals. Not only do they do good content, but they're actually pretty based.
For those who don't know, Kings and Generals is a very popular history channel with almost 4 million subscribers and 1,700 videos. They cover a wide range of topics going from modern warfare to ancient warfare to classical period to the medieval period, even Japan and all sorts of different topics. Now for today specifically, we're going to focus on a sort of mini-series of theirs which is focused on racism. Now, I have heard from some of you noble ones that Kings and Generals used to be good, but now they're pushing modern politics. If this is true, you know me, I will call it out.
Right, but that's your audience who are, I mean, how do I put this gently? Brain dead? Literally brain dead. So I don't care. I don't care what they have to say, yeah.
But I will also be fair and reasonable when it comes to information that may appear to be some sort of message, but maybe they are correct in those instances. So I'll call it out if it's nonsense, regardless of whatever backlash, but I will tell it how it is if some historical facts are in fact correct, regardless of whether or not they could help one or the other side in the freaking culture war. Who cares? Right, were the ancient Greek...
Mate, what do you mean, who cares? You fucking care. All you do is culture war shit. Fuck me. Imagine doing 1 million videos on culture war and being like, oh, who even cares about the culture war? Ugh, right.
Greeks racist? What is in the sources? I think that's a very good title. To the point, specific to the history. Asking the question, nothing wrong. It's the way you answer it that can be anachronistic. And second one, what did the Romans think about race and identity? Already this question is a little bit of a red flag to me. What do they mean by identity? Let's not pretend that we don't know.
Okay, well, what do they mean by race? Like, it's all fucking bullshit at the end of the day. It's all what you interpret it as. They don't have absolutely clear distinctions. Whatever.
What that could mean, it could be a very charged, politically motivated modern term that would be...
Yeah, the word racism is a very charged modern term. Yes, it is. Brilliant. Like, how are you expecting a channel in 2025 not to have some modern politics in it, exactly? Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Be therefore anachronistic when placed in classical antiquity, or maybe they use it in the neutral sense that it was the way we were using it all the way up to what? Late 90s, I guess, early 2000s, in which case, if they are using it...
God, conservatives are weird. They just choose such random times when they think woke happened. And it's always exactly when they stopped being children. Again, notice that. Whenever they transitioned from being a child into, like, a teenager, that's when they think woke started. And it's true almost universally across conservatives. Because that's when they think the world went bad. When they went from the innocence of youth into realising the world was shit. And they think something changed. It didn't. It was just that way. It's just, as children, you don't see it. When you lose the innocence of youth, you know?
In a coherent sense, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Last but not least, we have this one. What did the ancient Egyptians think about race and identity? Alright, so today we are reviewing the Romans, but if you like this video, I am more than happy to make commentary videos to the others as well. And without further ado, let's check it out.
The concept of racial identity as we know it today did not exist in the ancient world.
Starting strong. That's good. That's great. And you might be like, but that's obvious, Matt. I remember reviewing a channel that was saying unironically that modern concepts absolutely existed in the medieval period. So don't give anything for granted. Don't take anything for granted.
However, the peoples of antiquity as we know it today did not exist in the ancient world. However, the peoples of antiquity still had ways of labeling, defining and stereotyping those they saw as foreign or different from them.
Correct.
This was especially true in the Roman Empire, an originally Italic nation which throughout its long history interacted with myriad different cultures in both war and trade, integrated them into its imperial project, and incorporated their religions and customs into the fabric of their society. Roman attitudes towards race and identity were inspired by the Greeks in many ways, but also
Greeks. What is this nonsense? Video shows the USPS plane while taking off. Okay. Oh, that is a big old explosion, man. Fuck. But I don't know what to do with that information. Thank you, Mancheater, for keeping me up to date, but I don't know what to do with the information that a plane crashed. Like, yeah, that's fucked. I don't know what else to say. Thank you everyone for the hype train. I've got to go and search out a certain little tricky dicky.
Rejected Greece's legacy in many others. Moreover, Roman experiences in the Near East, North Africa, Germania and Gaul all helped to shape the empire's perception of outsiders, be they barbaric or civilized, servile or warlike. Welcome to our second episode on racism in antiquity, covering the Roman Empire and its massive ethnic and cultural diversity.
Okay, yeah, so far I would say everything he said is correct up to this point. Absolutely, their interaction, particularly the military ones with populations in the north, populations in the south, in the east, did shape their perception of these people. And of course, there were several stereotypes that we do find in the sources.
Yeah, that bust would have been painted, that is true. But like all of these our entire conception of what ancient Greece and Rome would have looked like is completely wrong. Because we see all of these like time-worn white columns of like marble, and that's not how they would have been. They'd have been painted really brightly and garishly. But we going, oh, that looks fantastic. Let's just do that. Let's build all of our shit out of big like white blocks of stone, because it'll make us look like the Romans.
How is he going to discuss this idea of cultural diversity? Is he going to be correct and tell it how it is, or is he going to be one of those that says the Romans were open to all sorts of diversity and diversity was the source of their strength, and then this and that, while we know that that's not the case for Rome at all?
So you've come into this with like no semblance of looking at this objectively at all. You've come in with your untrue nonsense about Rome, and so when he tells the truth, you're going to go, no, see, because he contradicted the lies I believe. Brilliant.
Well, Rome was a brutal empire. Let's see.
This video is sponsored by our YouTube members and patrons, who get 2 exclusive videos weekly, not available anywhere else, for their kind support of our channel. You can join their ranks to watch more than 160 videos, including our series on the Pacific War, Punic Wars, Persian Wars, Spanish War of Succession, Russo-Japanese War, North African Campaign of World
Yeah, we get it, loads of wars.
War II, History of Prussia, Italian Unification Wars, Risorgimento, Albigensian Crusades, and much more. Click the link in the description or pinned comment to get the exclusive
Albigensian Crusades are particularly funny because they're crusades against other Christians in France, in the town of Albi. Yeah.
videos, early access to all public videos, our schedule, wallpapers, access to a special Discord server where we're very active, and much more. Thanks for supporting us. We couldn't be doing it without your help.
Sounds like a good
Much
deal.
like our first episode on Greece, we will need to begin with some clarifications on notions of race in ancient Rome. First, Rome's history is massive in scope and length, so it is impossible to cover all.
I know something else that's massive in scope and length as well. Not my penis.
All of the changes in attitudes towards other peoples that occurred within the empire across its many centuries of history.
Fair.
Thus, we will focus on the most well-known periods of Roman history, Republican and Imperial Rome, with a specific focus on the thinkers of this time and the laws that existed during this age, to see what both can tell us about how the Roman people viewed other cultures.
That's an excellent approach. Look at the way writers write, and then look at the way the legal system deals with people from different ethnicities, races, and however you want to call it, depending on the perspective. Yeah.
As with Greece, these attitudes can be seen as ethnic prejudice, and were not necessarily hierarchical like modern racism, but scholars debate as to whether they constitute this or racism in the modern sense. There is also difficulty in knowing to what extent commoners shared the prejudices shown in Roman writings, which almost exclusively depict the perspective of Rome's elites. Overall, Roman commoners had more interactions with other people than patricians did. Thus, they had more exposure to how other people lived.
This needs to be reviewed with a caveat. Of course, I'm being a little pedantic here, but it really depends. A lot of those writers actually did interact with foreigners a lot. I mean, think about, for instance, a writer like Julius Caesar or Julius Caesar. I mean, he did go to Gaul, and then he tells us about Gaul after spending a lot, but then again, he was a military dictator, wasn't he? It depends on the writer. So I wouldn't, it's a bit of a blank statement. Oh, well, the elite didn't really, they write, but they don't really interact, whereas the common people do interact a lot. Yeah, with trade, but common people, what, import cities? Because if it's common people, farmers in the hinterland, you're good luck seeing a foreigner. So it depends.
We will also discuss a little bit about whether and how the advent of Christianity, or the shift towards Byzantium, changed these attitudes in any way. With these disclaimers in mind, we will now move on to the rest of the video. Let us start our exploration of Roman race relations by leafing through the writings of some seminal Roman authors and examining what they had to say about foreign peoples. Coming from the aspirational equestrian class, and with allegiances to the aristocratic Optimates faction, the Roman senator Cicero is an interesting case study. In seeking to justify Roman imperialism in the Near East, he seems to ascribe a spiritual servitude to Jews and Syrians, for he calls them servituti nati, or in modern English, natural-born slaves. This is not a natural condition, which was the type of racism that European colonizers held against Africans, Americans, and Asians, but it does show a Roman...
Interesting. Why would he focus on that? You know how I would have... This is a little bit of a red flag for me. European colonizers held this type of racism towards, during their, I imagine, colonial expansions, towards Asians and Africans. Okay. So did Asians towards other Asians. I mean, Chinese and Japanese. Goodness gracious. Yeah. And Africans towards other Africans.
So you're just annoyed that he only mentioned that, even though that's obviously the cultural milieu in which he lives, in which you live, that people know most about. Like, yeah, slave societies have existed in other areas. Okay? Do you want him to list every single fucking slave society that ever existed? Like, get over yourself.
Africans or Africans towards Europeans. So racism happens everywhere, and this is something that has to be underlined. Now, maybe, and I will be very magnanimous when it comes to this, because...
Oh yeah, I'm sure you will.
We're at the beginning of the video. Maybe he linked it to European colonialism simply because Rome is a European power. If that's the tether, and that's why he only mentioned European racist attitudes towards non-Europeans during imperial colonizations, then sure, I mean, he's speaking about a European power, so it makes sense. At the end of the day, I prefer this over someone who tells me that the Romans are not Europeans. See link in the description if you want to see.
Some of them weren't Europeans. There were Asians. There were Africans. I think that's it. I don't think any Americans or Australians. Although, again, it's Australian, so they probably would have been serving at bars and stuff in ancient Rome, because they're everywhere.
See what I mean? Because that's ridiculous. I'd rather take this. But then again, it's also a little bit of a red flag, because I'm like, why do people always talk about racism the Europeans have towards non-Europeans?
Why are you criticising the whites?
Which, yes, of course, it's a thing. But why doesn't anyone ever mention the racism that...
Oh, no one ever mentions any other types of racism, no.
Africans have towards Africans when they were enslaving different tribes, when the Africans have towards non-Africans, and that Asians have towards a lot of other people as well. Racism happens everywhere. I will add, unfortunately, but it does.
An attitude that once someone is enslaved, they lose a part of their humanity.
Yeah.
Moreover, Cicero's writings perpetuate a Roman belief that some peoples, in this case the peoples of the Levant, have inherently servile cultures. In Cicero's eyes, what makes a culture servile is not the skin color or appearance of its people, but the climate in which it exists, for he considers not natural blood to be the cause of their supposed defects, but the environment they came from. According to Benjamin Isaac,
Okay, so because he's sorry if I'm interrupting a lot, but in this case he's moving on to a different topic and I have to comment. So the whole situation with the connection between how races or different people, different ethnicities look and behave is connected to the weather or the climate. Yeah, it's found in the sources. It's possible that several people believed it in Rome. We don't know up to what extent, but it is mentioned. And in fact, as I was saying, that does seem to dictate in the mind of the Romans not only the way they look, because phenotypic traits are part of it. So the fact that he's saying, oh, it's not the skin color, but it is mentioned. They do say the people in the north are extremely white and people in the south are extremely black. And then...
Well, they did have eyes. Yeah. They did have eyes, yes. That's a thing. But it's not that they were racist against people because they were darker skinned. In fact, actually, they held the peoples of Northern Europe in quite a lot of contempt. They thought them to be simple and uncultured and uncivilized. Especially the Britons.
Where are we going? Garbage Island.
They say we are a good medium. That's how the Romans say, because we live in the perfect center, and that's why we're masters of the world. And then they connect that. So yeah, it is a superiority complex, I guess, which every people have. Not every person in those populations, but civilizations, particularly when they're expansionistic, they do tend to have that tendency of thinking. Regardless of that, yes, phenotypic traits are part of it, and then the attitude. So, for instance, we are told of the intelligence, but lack of courage when it comes to people in Africa, and instead, particularly it's talking about Northern Africa, and then we are told about bravery and courage, but they're not particularly smart for people in the north. So the Romans give us all of this, and yes, they do say it's tied to climate, at least some thinkers believe that way, but phenotypic traits are absolutely part of it. Let's not try and push this idea. He didn't, I'm not saying him, but people do say, oh, the Romans didn't see skin color. No, they did, they absolutely...
Who the fuck has ever said they didn't see skin colour? Who has ever said that? They were saying they weren't being judged solely by skin colour, which is unfortunately sort of what modern racism is. So you're just making shit up. God, this is rubbish.
Absolutely did. We've been seeing that difference. Phenotypic traits, whether it be skin color, eyes, hair, texture and color, is the first thing we notice, and it's the first thing we probably started to differentiate between in-groups and out-groups in prehistory.
Of the invention of racism in classical antiquity. According to Benjamin Isaac, author of The Invention of Racism in Classical Antiquity, Cicero's approach is focused on climate and environment as the primary factor over any other natural influences, like blood lineage, as the primary driver of ethnic difference between peoples.
Yeah.
Such views were driven by Roman imperial attitudes to justify conquest abroad.
Yeah.
Cicero's views of other nations that either opposed or were subjugated by Rome are equally meant to differentiate from the Romans and their own martial elite culture. Gauls faced particularly acidic commentary, portrayed by Cicero as a violent people prone to destroying sacred
the French are that way.
religious shrines. Cicero saves similar vitriol for the Sardinians, who he considered to be particularly barbaric, to the point that even the Phoenicians, who the Romans also despised, found the Sardinians unbearable when colonizing their island. Similar sentiments were shared of the people from the Maghreb in North Africa. Cicero's xenophobic attitudes stem from his imperialist mindset and Roman exceptionalism, the idea that Rome, a veritable shining city on a hill, was surrounded by barbarians, and that it was Rome's sacred duty to go forth on a civilizing mission across the world.
You know, I appreciate this more than people that say, oh no, the Romans were open-minded, they accepted everyone because they knew that diversity was the source of the strength. No, this is true, okay? So whether there are some things that we may disagree with, at least...
I think this is fundamentally a lack of charitability on your part. People, and I can only go by most of what I've seen, you can always, I'm sure, bring up some crazy cunt, but most people, when they say that Rome was an open society, meant that they accepted different peoples into their cities, because that was true. It's not saying that they liked various different types of people. Yeah, they were enormously bigoted to any number of different people. It's that if you were from Gaul or Britannia or Syria or Africa, you could go to Rome and be a Roman. It was the first sort of modern nation in that sense. Not a nation state in the modern sense, but a nation of sorts. Citizenry was the kind of defining difference. Yeah, Metatron is a twat. What is this?
These are not just slogans.
Thank you, Miss Hire. I don't. I might. When would I ever use that noise? I don't know. I don't know. But thank you.
I appreciate the baseline that yes, Roman exceptionality is a form of xenophobia, if you want to use that term. But then again, as we always say, the Romans weren't racists. They hated everyone equally. If you're not Roman...
That's not... Well, that isn't true. They didn't hate everyone equally. There's no doubt they held a great deal more hatred for the people of Britannia than they did of Greece. They saw the Greeks as very much...
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
How are the fingers holding up after everything?
They are prepared for action, Rachel. Thank you very much. Yeah, they held the Greeks as their kind of cultural forebears. They saw them as taking, you know, the Romans were taking on Greek culture and taking it to the next level. Whereas the Britons were seen as, I mean, there's literally a phrase that gets used only in one inscription, but it's there. Was it the Bretonculi, which is a particularly interesting phrase because it means it's in the same way that homunculus means a malformed little thing. The Bretonculi is a description that basically means horrible little Britons. The Romans did not really see the people of Britain as people, which, you know, it is arguable, certainly.
And you're not Greek, you're below us. That's how they thought. Now, did the farmer think that way? Did the fishmonger think that way? Maybe not. The elites? Yes, we know that.
As we see in Cicero's writing, Roman stereotypes of foreign ethnic groups were often utilized politically to promote or justify Rome's expansionist policies. Nowhere is this more evident than in the writings of Julius Caesar in his commentary on the Gauls. During his conquests of Gaul, Caesar was keen to portray the Gallic tribes as lazy, violent, and politically unstable. Caesar also asserts that Gauls who lived near Rome...
Some things never change, do they, France?
...were more decadent than ones who lived near Germans, with the latter being more martial and violent. This was likely because he considered people who lived further north, and therefore further away from civilization, to be both more martial and less prone to Roman perceptions of moral degeneracy, like the wearing of trousers, or of women fighting in battles. However,
very rare even in the Germanic context.
There is also an intriguing...
Women are scum! Like me, incels!
...in contradiction, one stemming from Caesar's own ambition and self-aggrandizement. According to Caesar, the Gauls' warlike nature, while proof of their barbarity, is also a trait to be admired. Through their rugged, brutal lifestyles, Caesar claimed that the Gauls embodied virtue. This probably stemmed from Caesar's need to show off his own achievements by fighting against a noble enemy.
Oh, absolutely. The Bello Gallico is a propaganda piece, and it's specifically aimed at the senatorial class back home. So there is a lot of double talk, there is a lot of specific goals that he's trying to achieve. So it doesn't mean that it's false. It's probably true. What he's saying is true. It happened. But did it happen exactly how it did? We don't know. I would say it's true, but cherry-picked. That's how I would describe it, with a little exaggeration on some sections.
Caesar's behavior in Gaul also shows Roman imperialism's disregard for the lives of their enemies. Many of Caesar's descriptions of his army's atrocities in Gaul have been compared by some scholars to ethnic cleansing or even genocide.
I don't think it fits genocide. I have a dedicated video though, so
He boasted of killing 1 million and enslaving 1 million more. I don't know what doesn't meet genocide about that. These people who dance on the head of a pin to make sure that their favourites never get accused of genocide are just the worst. The worst fucking people. No, actually, no, Dick Cheney was the worst person. So they're now the worst people, yeah.
There is one that happened in Italy that maybe, but I won't go deeply into this since I have a dedicated video.
As various massacres took place, and even criminal neglect, like the case of Alesia. During the siege of Alesia, Vercingetorix let out the women and children of the besieged city of Alesia to come out and hopefully be let through the Roman walls. Caesar was intransient and left them trapped between the Roman and Gallic walls. The grass was as green as it always was on those sinister days as the Gaulish civilians slowly died of starvation. These behaviors were typical of Roman
Not genocide, though.
Imperialism. Even the Romans themselves were aware of how ruthless and destructive their armies could be, as a few decades later, the Roman historian Tacitus would exclaim, "Neither east nor west can sate their appetite. They are the only people on earth to covet wealth and poverty with equal craving. They plunder, they butcher, they ravish, and call it by the lying name of empire. They make a desert and call it peace." We will now move on to examining the laws of the Roman Empire and what they can tell us about how the Romans saw other ethnic and racial groups. An interesting example lies in the post-social war landscape, when Rome began a mass enfranchisement campaign of the various Italian tribes. The social war lasted from 91 to 87 BCE. It occurred because Rome's neighboring tribes in the Italian peninsula, such as the Samnites and Massi, wished to gain citizenship, and thus the privileges of Roman citizens.
Yeah, citizenship is another massive topic, and I think it's often misrepresented for modern political gain. We'll see if he goes forward further into this and goes deeper. When it comes to the Etrusci, so the Etruscans, do check out my latest video on the true origins of the Etruscans. Once again, link in the description.
Initially, Rome was very strict on who could gain citizenship, but the social war changed this landscape, as the Romans only won by passing legislation giving citizenship to cities that made peace or stayed loyal to Rome. Thus, they ensured that various surrounding groups were also entitled to citizenship. We can thus see that the notions of who was considered Roman was a fluid category that changed over time. This was not the last time that Rome would extend citizenship to former enemies and conquered peoples. For instance, the Gallic nobles in what is today's northern Italy were afforded the same privilege. These were usually pragmatic moves, as acquiring citizenship through military service was a means of perpetuating and encouraging Roman imperialism via giving privileges to the soldiers, and thus providing Rome with
255, does he go mental at any point? Because so far this is really boring. I need him to say something fucking whack. Not kings and generals, I mean fucking this knobhead.
For wars.
That's good. Yeah, exactly. So the giving of citizenship changes throughout the ages of Rome. So as he says, it's very strict at first. Then they do actually fight over it in the upper echelons. There is this whole interesting instance between Emperor Claudius and the senators, so members of the senatorial class. And the senators don't want, they are like, don't give.
Alright, YouTube chat, calm down now. I don't give a fuck what you're arguing about. Just calm the fuck down. Yeah? I don't have to time out anyone.
Give citizenship to these foreigners. And then again, keep in mind, this citizenship is given to the wealthy class. Okay, in that instance. And then Claudius is like, well, we gave citizenship to these other tribes that were the enemy. And today they are one of us, so they don't fight us anymore and all that, and so should we not do this so that it's a way to exploit their riches and wealth? It is a tactical move always when it comes to the Romans and citizenship, and so should not be seen as, oh, the Romans were so open-minded and they were
No one said they were respectful. They were using people. but they were absorbing different ethnicities into their group. It's not a matter of open-mindedness and like accepting people. It's a matter of absorbing people. But that is actually just diversity, though. It's just diversity through force, which is not ideal, but you know.
Respectful. No, they're not respectful of anything. You have to bend the knee. You have to pay your taxes. You know how earlier on he was, and
you have to pay your taxes. You've always had to pay your taxes, whether it's to Vercingetorix or Caesar, whether it's to your Germanic tribe or the fucking Senate. Well, technically he didn't pay to the Senate, but you know what I mean. The tax collectors on behalf of the Senate. It doesn't make any difference. You always have to pay your tax to some fucker.
Citizenship can be revoked. This is something. So this is important to keep in mind. If you don't behave, if you don't submit, they will take the citizenship away. And you remember when earlier on it was saying slaves lose their humanity? Yes, but there are situations where the humanity was not there to begin with from the perspective of the Romans. And if we read the sources, for instance, the Gauls, among others, are described as people who are half beasts. But they say that once they are civilized, then and they do receive citizenship, then they're a citizen and are human. But if they rebel, they're back to half beasts. Not very inclusive. That's why it pisses me off when people use inclusivity, the Roman inclusivity. Oh, come on. So he's doing a better job.
So this is where you and your modern politics actually does affect things. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. As that video was boring the arse off me, and it really fucking was. Let's listen to this creature. He thanks me when I donate, but it allows me to get abused when I don't. What? What are you talking about? I literally told you to both fucking calm down. It's not abuse. You were in a fucking argument. You were slapping each other. What do you want me to do exactly? Right, let's have a look.
I will eventually make a longer video on my main channel to cover like Holocaust education in depth, but
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. What I've always thought we need is more lunatics doing Holocaust history. Not you, Kev, your mod. Oh, okay, sorry. Well, in that case, the mod in question is a her rather than a he. But, yes, okay. Yes, right.
for now I just want to make this little clip here to talk about something bizarre. Have you ever thought about how weird it is that there are like all of these special caveats that make you a Holocaust denier that in other events would not? The best example of this is this idea that a lot of people hold that the Holocaust was unique. There's like a terminology for it that's like uniqueness, the uniqueness of the Holocaust, denying the...
The Geopolled video. No, what's that? Bunny in the box, link it, me. In terms of the uniqueness of the Holocaust, it depends exactly what you mean by that. In terms of its scope, obviously it's not unique. There are much larger in terms of number of people and percentages of populations and stuff destroyed. But it's the method, and I suppose to an extent the speed, but the speed is connected to the method, I suppose, that are unique. There's never been before, and hopefully never will be after, an industrialised slaughter. The idea of essentially factories of death, and instead of having units of production, you have units of destruction. That's never happened before, so that is unique. And because of that mechanisation of the process, and the fact that you literally had essentially production lines, but I suppose they'd be destruction lines, meant that they were able to kill way more people in a shorter space of time than ever before. Now again, there are much larger genocides, what happened to the native peoples of the United States, the First Nations people of North America. Far more people were killed. Like, it just orders of magnitude more people were killed. But that was over the course of 300 years. Whereas this was 6 million people in 10 years. Well, slightly over 10 years, but yeah. So there is an element of uniqueness. Now, it depends if he's going to mention that or whether he means the uniqueness in terms of the size of it. But I don't know. I am wary though, because
sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
How close is B to parroting the wooden door shit?
I don't think he's going to go that far. I think he does genuinely believe that the Holocaust happened. I don't think he's like that. For those who don't know, the wooden door is a particularly interesting and silly piece of Holocaust denial, where they say that one of the doors of the gas chambers at Auschwitz was a wooden door and therefore couldn't have been airtight and blah blah blah. You can always pick apart little tiny supposed discrepancies and stuff, and it's just nonsense. We're talking about mechanisation of the deaths of millions of people. You can there are always going to be incongruities. There are always going to be slightly strange fucking things that you can't necessarily even explain, because the Nazis destroyed all of the evidence. Yeah, they literally blew up the fucking gas chambers and stuff, the crematoria. They didn't leave the evidence for people to pick apart forensically, so we don't actually know all of the fucking answers. But anyway, so yeah, the wooden door thing is a like, that's, you know, someone's deep in the sauce when someone mentions the wooden door thing. You know they're gone. They're over the hill and far away.
Oiled like a baby otter.
Apologies. I just had a fucking burp and sneeze attack. God almighty.
Oiled like a baby otter.
I can feel the beginnings of a flu coming on. It's very unfortunate. Which means that fucking hangover tomorrow is going to be a bastard. Anyway, thank you, A Cat on YouTube. And thank you, Grant Sloan. On the YouTubes. Much love.
Oiled like a baby otter.
Yes. So yeah, we'll wait and see what his particular angle on this is, but I'm always wary of people who feel the need to pick apart the academics on
Oiled like a baby otter.
Because again, I think he genuinely does believe the Holocaust existed, but why do you feel the necessity to, like, I don't know, be, you know, intellectually ruthless about it? Because it's just, it just
Oiled
seems
like a baby otter.
Seems like a bad look for you, you know? But whatever.
The uniqueness of the Holocaust is a term that they use. It's not even like denying what happened in the Holocaust. Like, you can acknowledge everything that happened. You can acknowledge absolutely all of the facts. But you're still a Holocaust denier if you say it's not unique. according to some people, according to a lot of powerful organizations as well. That is just so bizarre, right? Like they created a bunch of specific caveats that only apply to the Holocaust for how you can be a denier of it when you don't actually deny it. Very related to this, and basically the same thing as this, is like this demand that the Holocaust not be compared to other genocides, or that's like a form of Holocaust denial as well. And like on the face of it, it's...
Well, I mean, I get that because there are still fucking living people, right? So like, comparing it to, I mean, we were talking earlier about the genocide of the Gauls by the Romans, by Caesar. You can compare it to that because anything is comparable, I suppose. You put them next to each other and go, well, this bit's bigger and that bit's quicker and that bit happened in this. You know, all you can compare and contrast anything. But there's an obvious emotional connection to this Holocaust with a capital H, for instance, as opposed to other genocides that took place because they happened far enough ago that no one really gives a fuck. I know that sounds bad, but no one does give a fuck. The Gauls aren't even a thing anymore. The French marched in and took it all. The Gauls don't exist. Gaul doesn't exist.
It's a very stupid argument because, for one, why in the first place would anyone care about this? Why would anyone care about like finding unique properties in a genocide and making sure that everyone else is policed into upholding them and believing them in the same way, right? Because when you think...
Well, again, because of like the emotional connection of it being within living memory. Only just in living memory now, I suppose, but it is.
Think about it. There's no way for this idea that an event was unique to be anything but subjective, or at least especially unique, because it's a subjective judgment, because there is unique things about any genocide, right? Like you could say the Armenian genocide was like uniquely focused around death marches. Like a uniquely large amount of people were killed during death marches. The genocide of the Inca by the Spanish was characterized by a uniquely high level of utilization of cannons and firearms that had not been used that much to genocide people before that date. Ugh. And the argument for the Holocaust being unique is that it was like industrial. It's always the argument they make. It was industrial. What the fuck does that even mean?
It means there's like a production line. It means there's a specific pattern that people went through. Well, okay. I don't even want to get into the specifics of it, but essentially, I like the description that gets used. I think it's useful, the description that gets used by Ivan Semyonov, I think it is, the Russian Jewish writer from the Second World War, who actually fought and was part of the liberation of many of these camps. And during his academic writings, he writes about essentially there being two stages to the Holocaust. You have the what he describes as the shower by bullets and the shower by gas. So the first stage is the SS go out and find the victims and kill them in situ and bury them in horrible mass pits and all sorts of things. Whereas in the second stage, in the shower by gas, rather than the killers going to find the victims were taken to the killers. And so you had, in the same way that you would have a production line, you have a destruction line. You have a literal series of processes that are undergone. So they arrive on a train on a specific timetable. They get searched by the doctors as they go through for those who are fit to work and those who will go straight to the straight to the ovens. Well, straight to the gas chambers and then the ovens. You have a specific set time in which from the gas chambers you have everything timed, and there's like time and motion studies that were done to specifically try and make it more efficient. You have the Sonderkommando, who were specifically tasked with the business of taking the corpses and taking them straight to the crematoria, and then you have the burying pits for the ashes, and it's literally a stage by stage process, in the same way that you would have with the building of a car. Except this is the opposite. You're destroying things that are incoming to the factory. Now, exit. No one is saying it's... Well, I mean, probably some people are saying it's worse. But I'm not arguing that it's worse or better than being starved or slaved to death. Which, by the way, also happened during the Holocaust. Okay? There were elements of it that were mechanised and industrial. And there were starvations. There were people worked to death. There were people who were just left to freeze in open-air camps. You know, the usual horrific things that happen in Holocausts took place in this Holocaust as well. Straight to the workhouse, straight from your home. Because, oh, Jesus Christ. If you really can't see that having a specific place which is set up to do this destruction, rather than it just being a place where you would go to be worked to death, which is incredibly haphazard, if you can't see the difference between that and an actual factory of death, which I've just outlined for you, I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's the point you're not making. Exit, are you just being deliberately obtuse? Because I can just fucking get rid of you, you cunt. I'm not in the business of fucking, like, having to explain things to people like they're fucking 5 years old. Either you get it or you fucking don't. I can't be like a fucking teacher in a classroom. And like, oh, you have to go as slow as the slowest kid. No, I'm not fucking like that, okay? You have to be of a certain intellect to be able to watch this fucking show. Because I'm not going to talk down to you. I'm not going to fucking pander to you. I'm not going to spoon feed you every fucking segment of information. If you can't understand the point I'm making about it being a production line method, but a destruction line method, and being taken from your house to a place where you're supposed to work, and then back or kept in a fucking camp and just being allowed to starve to death or die of diseases, like in a different type of fucking slaughter, I don't know what to do for you. I honestly don't know how else I can fucking get that across to you. And I'm not here to do so. So either get on board with it or shut the fuck up. Or go away, whatever, that's entirely your business. Did he get banned? I don't know. Maybe. Whatever.
Industrial?
I don't think anything of value was lost if he did.
It's industrial because there were work camps with like gas chambers and crematoriums. Does that make it industrial? That's weird on the face of it, but let's...
Well, no, not just having gas chambers and crematoria. Although, to be fair, there are very few genocides that had gas chambers. Many had crematoria, to be fair, but it's the production line methodology of it, but, you know, whatever. Also, I've just seen Metatron's video, The UK Has Fallen, and I might need to take a look at that at some point. I don't know about tonight, but yeah, that does look like...
At this very moment, Britannia burns.
Let's give them that. Let's say it was industrial. That's not even a unique thing. Like, what is a genocide like the Gaza genocide, where the products of industry are dropped on people's heads to kill them? Bombs. Is that not industrial? But it's like arbitrary.
Well, no, Jesus Christ. If you want to be that ludicrously obtuse, I mean, just farcically, childishly obtuse, then every genocide that's ever existed has been, to some extent or another, industrial. Because the production of spears in the hands of centurions, they were the products of Roman industry. Therefore, the slaughter of the Gauls was industrial. But the thing is, no one's claiming it's just industrial. It's industrialized, which does put rather a different slant on it. Because it's not just the production of things from industry that are used. It's the fact that the people themselves become a part of industry. Not workers in an industry, the product, or indeed, in this case, the thing to be destroyed. The human being goes from being an actor in the production line process to the acted upon in the production line process. That's what you mean. They created essentially a living machine that they fed humans into. It's not just industrial products were used, because that would mean that virtually every genocide ever, outside of just starvation, I suppose, would be industrial. This was industrialized. Industrial processes were used on humans.
Arbitrarily picking something about it that you think is unique to then claim that it's unique. It can never be a...
Well, again, Jesus Christ. It's because of the industrialized nature of it which allowed the speed of destruction. Because again, the vast majority, the number of people that were destroyed, and I mean, I'd use the word destroyed in this context very deliberately, in the colonization of North America by Europeans, vastly exceeds the number of people killed in the Holocaust. In fact, it vastly exceeds the number of people who died in the entirety of the Second World War. But it took 300 years. Whereas the Nazis were able to kill millions and millions of people in a very short period of time. At Auschwitz, over 1 million people were killed. That camp was only in operation for a few years. And it was only operational as a death camp for a brief period within those few years as well. It was because of that industrial process. In the same way that you went from the pre-Ford, and Ford is a very unfortunate one, given his connections to Nazism, but Henry Ford's production model techniques, which weren't entirely original to himself, before that, cars and production line, or pre-production line factory and warehouse settings were incredibly inefficient. The production line worked perfectly because you had the specialization of each individual bit of the labor process, so that you could get through the building of a car individually much quicker that way than having, 20 people working on a car or whatever in one place. Or even having 5 people work on a car, whatever. And these production methods were put into practice in the death camps. Not on exactly the same level, because again, you're not doing construction, you're doing destruction, you're doing murder. But there you go. And so they were able to kill much more quickly and efficiently. At least in the death camps. There were some really odd examples, though, of before they realised that they could use Zyklon B crystals to create gas, which is, the main death camp practice. They tried to do this thing where they'd have people in the back of a van and then pipe the exhaust fumes into the back of the van. Incredibly inefficient. Impossible to keep secret as well. So they didn't even try. And so there was the horrific story of the Belgrade Rides, I think is how they were referred to. Although the translation into English might not work very well. But they had vans that would drive around Belgrade, in the capital of Serbia, indeed the capital of Yugoslavia as it was then. Although they were broken up a little bit under Nazi rule. Let's not get into the complicated bit. They had people gassed to death driving around central Belgrade. And people could hear their screams and stuff. It was like just genocide on the move. Some little cheeky genocide van action. Yeah. I wonder why the people of Yugoslavia weren't fans of the Nazis. I wonder why the partisans got a lot of support. Anyway, so yeah, that's why they looked for more efficient ways of doing it and found a disgustingly efficient way of doing it.
Objective. It can only ever be subjective. I think the Holocaust is unique because of this aspect. Which, I mean, you're allowed to have that opinion, I would question why you need to have it. But the more interesting thing about it is, why do they need everyone else to have it? Why is it so important to those who believe in this notion, who's tried to spread it, that everyone else also be policed into saying this same thing, that the Holocaust is unique? And just before we move on to that point, I want to mention as well, around 40% of the victims of the Holocaust weren't killed industrially. They were just shot. They were just shot in the fields, the same as like a Native American would have been shot during the Native American genocide in the US. So are their deaths less unique, less important, less profound? Are they not part of the Holocaust? Because what they want?
Well, they obviously are part of the Holocaust. This is a really silly gotcha. And you don't help, like, I presume he's doing this in a way of saying, like, Zionists need you to believe this because it makes the argument for Israel easier or whatever. And you don't help the Palestinian people's cause by, like, cheapening the Holocaust. You don't need to do this. This is really tacky at best, and frankly disgusting at worst. This is gross. This is really fucking gross.
On industrial, it's easy to find contradictions when you go looking for them because it's an arbitrary distinction. It's a made-up distinction. It's just a
It's not made up. What are you talking about? What the fuck is he talking about? It's not a made-up distinction. You can argue as to how important you think the distinction is, but it's not made up.
Stupid thing that they made up, and the reason why it was made up is very simple. Gatekeeping for Israel. This is why
God almighty. You don't help. You don't help. Because you know how Israel likes to claim that everyone who opposes them in any way is an anti-Semite? You're doing that. You're literally doing that now. You're aiding and abetting that argument by being a weird anti-Semite for no fucking reason. Like, there are loads of really obvious things to criticise about Israel's conduct in the last, well, not just 2 years, in the last fucking 80 years. But let's just keep it to the last 2 years, right? Because, of course, history started on October the 7th, 2023, didn't you know? Why go to this place? It's just grotesque, man. No one ever has to go hunting with Dick Cheney again. True. True. Yeah, Israel isn't great to Holocaust victims, to be fair.
they want to police it. This is why they want to police it. You know, it's gatekeeping for Israel. They want to be able to smear you as a Holocaust denier, even when you're not a Holocaust denier. And the way that they can do that is if you have like a universalist conception of things where you don't rank them, you don't think one is worse than the other, you don't disconnect the Holocaust from history, you don't pretend it was this singular event that, as Zionists like to use it for, can justify anything and everything that ever happened afterwards. And they need it for that purpose. So a lot of these concepts, like the Holocaust being propped up as it is for Israel. It's specifically...
Oh dear, I seem to have spotted a cunt!
Yeah, the only reason anyone cares about the Holocaust is because of Israel. Cool story, bro.
Shut the fuck up, you parasite.
Because of Israel. The only reason it's like this is because of Israel. You know, the reason why there's a Holocaust museum in fucking Guatemala is because of Israel. The reason why there's so much...
He's digging into the Holocaust Memorial Museum of Guatemala. I mean, chat, what the fuck is happening here? What is happening? Of all of the things you could possibly have a go at, is digging into the Guatemalan Holocaust Museum. Oh, he's a fucking psychopath. This is nonsense. This is nonsense.
Like consciousness regarding the Holocaust more so than any other genocide is because of Israel. It's not because it was particularly terrible. It's not because it was like unique. It's not because nothing like it had ever happened before or could ever happen again. It's because it's convenient for Zionists that you think that.
So the fact that there are living people who were the victims, thankfully who survived, of course, that's of no relevance to anything. The only reason anyone cares is because Zionism. You're a dickhead, mate. You're an actual fucking prick. What we got here? Football Zionism. Oh no, okay. Okay, I'll get into that at some other point. Thank you, Bunny in the Box.
About it. Because it's a potentially legitimizing thing for their ideology and their state. And that's why practically everyone who spreads this uniqueness of the Holocaust thesis is a Zionist. The Holocaust is treated so absurdly exceptionally that genocide studies in the USA isn't called genocide studies, it's called Holocaust and genocide studies. Like the Holocaust is its own thing above just the genocide. But this idea that this one specific historical event can never be connected to other historical events and like exist out of time and place.
What the fuck are you talking about? It exists within the context of the Second World War. This is just shit stirring. This is just shit stirring. This is slop. There's only 3 more minutes though, chat, and then we can all go to bed.
It's in its own special category that can never be compared to, that can never be linked to anything else, is obviously absurd. It's self-evidently absurd, but it...
Yes, self-evidently absurd is a very good descriptor for this video. I defy Mr. Empanada to tell me what other genocide had something like Sobibor. I don't think he could. I don't think he could. Yeah.
It gained ground like in academia and in the wider populace, in the wider like consciousness of people in general, because it's useful to Israel. In what other circumstance could you imagine academics arguing something so stupid? History academics, political science academics caring about something like so dumb and inconsequential, like is the Holocaust unique? Who gives a fuck? What does that tell you about it? Nothing. It doesn't actually help. It's just a value judgment with a clear, broader political purpose, because there's no other explanation for it otherwise. Historians don't care whether some historical event is unique or not. They care about like what can we glean from this about the time and place? What can we learn about it?
Right, at least in part because of it, whether it has unique aspects or not, whether there are commonalities between different things. You don't understand history, my friend. You just don't.
How can we interpret this to perhaps enlighten us more on how and why it happened? What's the evidence for it? They don't care about like what makes this particular event particularly special and super mega special and way more important than all the other events. Like historians don't debate the importance of things. They just talk about the things themselves on their...
Yes, they do. What are you talking about? Yes, they do. Yes, they actually do. They talk a lot about the importance and the relative importance of different events. You're just, I mean, either lying or ignorant, and I don't really care which. It's irresponsible for you to be talking about this. This is a very, very serious topic, which you are not doing anything like justice to. You fucking minge.
On their own merit. It's just very weird. They do debate the importance of things, to other historical events, but they don't like rank them on a list of bestest, most unique genocides, which is what Holocaust scholarship very much does. A lot of Holocaust scholars, at least. And quite simply, it's for Israel. It's all for Israel. And I will make a longer video about this eventually. Oh yeah, it's not just about Israel. I have to throw this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
in as well, because it's not just about Israel. Because if the Holocaust can be gatekept in this way, then that means that not just in the case of Palestine, but you rob people like of a reference point to compare something to. Like, you can't compare the Native American genocide to the Holocaust, even though the Nazis were in large part inspired by the Native American genocide, because that's denying the uniqueness of the Holocaust. And suddenly, you're not allowed to like make this very universal, like very well understood frame of reference for people to understand how bad the Native American genocide was, because doing so is like committing this social like no. It allows them to frame conveniently a genocide of white people that the Americans were for once against, rather than committing, as like something special, in order to diminish the importance in comparison of everything else, which conveniently the Americans and the Europeans, aside from the Germans and a lot of other Europeans, of course, were much more clearly involved in, like colonialism in general, for example. So yeah, those are the two main reasons. Israel and like propaganda, basically. Colonial propaganda for the Western powers.
I apologise for even watching that with you, chat. Can we just have some cute cats instead? Look at these cute cats. Look how cute they are, chat. Adorable. Just let that wash over you. Just breathe. And we're done. Oh! Jump scare. Fucking Dick Cheney jump scare. Ugh. Anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed because I'm very tired. I hope you continue to take my video recommendation to. Oh, I will 255, but they can't all be victories, can they? You know, no one bats 1,000, my friend. You're fine. And you'd think with a video title like that it was going to be a belter, but yeah, no, it was a swing and a miss. Whatever. Did you do your crab dance? I didn't because I'm too drunk. I can't be bothered. Well, we did have a little celebrate, so that's fine. So it's, you know, it is what it is. Who are we going on YouTube's? I'll send you over to. Oh, okay. No, Justice is going. Okay. Go and say hello to Nodge. No one's ever called her that, Kev. Come on now. Go and say hello to No Justice MTG. And I'll see you later. Okay. I'll be back later today, possibly with Christy. I don't know. Free Palestine. No pass around.